Greetings to the family of Untitled Dad. Again, another special segment. This one is a part tour, because we got my boy in the house, Dr. Ifikon Shango Simon from the VI, straight from the VI, right here, Charlotte O'Malley, Savannah State Medical College of Georgia, all the University of Wisconsin intern, all of that. He's making it happen. He's back, but also more importantly, now again, because I don't want no issue with his daughter. Because again, he's an MD, not just doctor. He's an MD, medical doctor. So, but that's what makes it so live with regard to what we're doing with him. My brother is a medical doctor, but also a farmer. And I gotta say this, he's an ecologist also, because that's what he's doing. That's ecology. And for those of you who may not know this, on April 22nd was Earth Day. That was just last week. Earth Day was last week. And the largest single mass protest occurrence occurred regarding something called Earth Day. 20 million people took to the streets. And some of y'all probably said, I ain't know nothing about that. Right. So maintaining the earth is essential, but maintaining yourself is also essential. And so we back with my brother because we want to find out what he got in his garden, if it can. You know, you can introduce yourself to the people, again, some who just joining us, but then also go flow into what you got in the garden and what's going to be next in that rotation, brother. But glad to have you, family.
Yeah, glad to see you. Glad to be back. So, you know, we ended and had more to share, so we had to come back. And thanks for the invite and the people asking to come. So,
that's right.
What's in the garden right now? We have some lettuce. So we've been picking from that lettuce. Lettuce is a great early spring crop. So lettuce, we finished the bok choy, so it's all done now. And the berries, the blackberries are blooming. The strawberries are blooming, and we'll be having some strawberries, eating some strawberries at the end of the probably end of the month. So next week we'll be eating some strawberries for Mother's Day. And so we had a little cold snap, so it did some little damage to the cucumbers. So we have a little bit low on that. We have beets. The beets are in there. They're still young and tender. And snap peas. Snap peas are about to be picked. And then next in the rotation going to be the usual, the summer stuff. We got the tomatoes, Rutgers tomatoes, the big boys, the Romas, which are good for soups. We have the melons and seedlings right now. And we have a spinach called the Malabar spinach, which is a great summer spinach. Okay. And so that's in. And the usual, the peppers, the okras. I planted seeds today of the okras. And the corn was 2 days ago. We planted those. So they'll be up and popping up their heads shortly. So by mid-May, we'll be putting those onto the ground that we've prepared. And we've had some squash and some island. I call it island pumpkin because not like the pumpkin you have here in the South is the pumpkin we get down in the Caribbean. So I have some of that. I think I have 16 of those going to be put in the ground soon. So yeah, that's what it looks like. So that's next on the rotation. And we have some fresh. We did a new ground this year, a new particular area to grow because we saw that our pumpkin and squash can last. I'm still having the harvest from the fall still inside the house, and that we're still making our it's almost like you do mashed potato, but it's like a mashed pumpkin, and we add some things to it. And the hot peppers will be coming later on. So that's what's up with the rotation.
So now I ask this question: do you grow any Swiss chard? Do you do Swiss chard?
Yes, I do Swiss chard. I don't do a lot of it. I do just a little bit. I would say about 12 plants at the most. They take up a small portion. I have some garlic growing and some onions, but again, they take up a small portion of the overall garden. And I do that because that's why I tell people to eat some Swiss chard. Plus, it's pretty. It's pretty in your garden. Great colors. It's supposed to help. The material is supposed to help with your glucose balance in your body. And a lot of people are fighting your glucose intolerance. And so when you eat those green leafy vegetables, they have the ability, and they do some studies with plant-based diet, have the ability to clean out plaques out your body. So a lot of people, as you get older, you get heart disease. So do the best you can to focus on those plants, those green leafy vegetables. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And that's why I want to throw that about the Swiss chard, because we have people listening. They be doing diabetes, and then with regards to diet and the things that they need to eat. And I'm gonna come back to some other question, but I gotta ask this question right here. All right, because you said you got some young beets there, some tender beets.
Yes.
What's the best way to eat beets? Because a lot of us be having an issue eating beets. So what's the best way that you found that make beets, palatable for us to eat, that we want to enjoy? Because beets are one of those superfoods that we need to have. So that's my brother. That's why I gotta ask you, what's the best way for us to eat beets that we can really okay, all right, this is better than what buying out the can?
Yeah, well, I tell you, the best way I can handle it, because beets are very earthy. When you're eating it, you feel like you're eating dirt in terms of the smell of it, in my opinion. So I say blend it, man. Blend it and drink it in a smoothie. Yeah, that's about the best I'll tell you to handle that. The leaves you can eat. You cut the leaves off the top. Just cut off the leaves off the top and put in a salad, and you can tolerate that pretty quick and easy if you like salads. And if you do it that way, the leaves will grow back anyway. So you could actually have a continuous beet garden, because the leaves also have nutrition in them. So the root itself, the beet root itself, again, I say you pull that sucker up and you put in a smoothie and handle it with a little bit of chocolate in your smoothie if you want. Kind of be like that chocolate.
Okay, because Dr. Deidre Grimm saying she can't handle beets herself. So, but then that was Sister Anna Davis saying she loved beets. So that's why I'm just trying to find a way, because I know by you saying if you growing it, I know it's something good for us. And that's why I want to ask you, how does farming or cultivating help us personally? How does that help us personally?
Yeah, well, from our perspective, it depends on which perspective you can come from. So one is most time people gardening, you have to take it's something that's dependent on you to take care of. Same concept people say with pets, but pets give a feedback. But plants also give a feedback too. So one, you got to get up and take care of them. The younger the plant, the more attention it requires. The older the plant, the less attention it requires. So it also gives an example of how to do our own lives. So the younger a child, the more attention you have to give to that child. And you'll find that when you give the attention to the plant when it's young, and you give the proper nutrition, the proper ground to grow in, that is less you have to put in, less energy you have to put in when it gets matured. And so I put the energy in when the plants are young, when the seedlings are there, get in the ground, prepare, getting the bugs out of the soil, going around early in the game to make sure. So wake up early. The worms are moving slower. When I say worms, meaning not the earthworms, the leaf worms that eat your leaves. Those are early in the morning. You get up early in the morning, you catch them, take them off. They're very sluggish at that time, and it tells you to take care of them. So once you do that, your plant is matured and healthy and strong. It resists disease. It's the same thing when you're doing it with a plant. You realize in your own lives that if you develop your body, cultivate your heart, cultivate your intestinal system, keep your energy mentally, physically together, then you'll find that you have to resist disease and resist changes. So I like to always tell people, and I think this is a post, people certain posts, but I say preparation is never at the mercy of situation. Never.
All right. Yes, sir.
So
yes,
you
sir.
prepared. And so cultivating and growing, doing gardens teach you about preparation, because you look when it's gonna rain, when it's gonna be hot, where's the shade, where's not the shade, how much sun do a plant need versus how much shade, what plant grows well together. So, and you then apply it to your life. When do you need rest? When do you need sleep? When do you need water? When do you need food? When do you need to refrain from a party? When do you need to go to a party? So it teaches you limitations. And so, yes, it does help you personally now, and the health perspective speaks for itself. But yeah, those are one aspect of it, and I could tell you many more. So you're gonna have to direct me on that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good. Because again, you were doling it out before, and so that's the thing. We're gonna go ahead and people like seeing those connections. So you were doing it. So yes, sir. So now, my brother, I ask you, what do you enjoy about planting and growing in the growing experience? What do you enjoy about that? What do you like about that?
Yeah, well, I tell you, I like a lot about it, but the thing I like most about it is the peace. There's a certain peace that you get when you go out to your own garden, no matter how big it is. Even when the garden that we had was 4x8, it was a certain peace to it. I took care of 4x8, and as I took care of 4x8, what you're experiencing in your life, and what I like most about it, I take care of the little I had, and the little I had grew. And they expand according to my abilities. As I saw my ability to handle more, I took on more. When I saw my ability to rotate crops, I rotated crops. So it helped me to see just everything in terms of opening the eyes to the possibilities. But a possibility to take now, what I was able to do with a small amount gave me the necessary discipline to handle it big. But if you have a small amount and you don't have the discipline to take care of it, then why handle something big? So if I give you, I like going to money. If I give you $1,000 and you throw it away, what do you think will happen when I give you $10,000? You're gonna throw it away too, because you didn't have the discipline to how to handle it. So even people say, "Oh, if I win the lottery, what I'm gonna do?" and all this nonsense. Right. What you have the lottery in front of you. And like I like to tell people, I've won the lottery. I've won the lottery when I came to Savannah State University. I won the lottery. Okay, I won the lottery when I met brothers who were good to me. I won the lottery, and those things just multiply more, and they don't go away. It's not running away from me. It's not leaving my hands. So that is what I enjoy most about planting, the appreciation of how when you show appreciation to the garden and attention to it, it brings back to you. It takes you, and then you grow and you can share. The ability to share from your garden. I tell you, I've given so many people stuff, and then it has multiplied. People have given me more stuff than I've given them.
Yes.
You have people come in saying, "Hey, I got some compost for you to come pick up, or coffee grounds. Hey, here's some seeds that you have. I want you to grow this, and you can share with me." And then I get them some sweet potato. They bring me sweet potato souffle. You know, that's good stuff right there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's always a giving and a multiplication. It's just bringing. It's endless. And
Yes,
that I enjoy more, just the endless give of it.
yes, indeed. And in fact, what happened 2 weeks ago, I had to talk to my criminal justice scholars, and one of the things I got into a conversation with them about was that some of them are going to be going to law enforcement, and they're going to see a lot of things, and they're going to experience a lot of things. They're going to see almost the lowest points of human beings. And I said some of them are going to go to law school and they become attorneys. And then they're going to have a lot of pressure on them. They're going to have a lot of activities going on. They're going to have to handle a lot of things. So in both of those professions, there's a lot of stress. And I share with them that I said, with regards to these stress, what happened for some people, they go and use alcohol. They use alcohol to cope. They use alcohol. Some may go and use, some narcotics, might use some drugs. People do that because, again, they're stressed out. But so I told them, I said, the thing what I learned that with all of this right here, you must then develop a hobby, develop a craft, develop something that gives you that peace, that gives you that, that no matter what's going on in the world, that now. And so when you talked about going into the soil and doing that, that's one of the things they talk about, gardening. And that some people I know at times probably made fun of that. They see that man or that woman because they're taking care of their plants, at their home and doing that. And these are just with regards for decoration and for show at their home, but it's not just necessarily for eating. But then they look at those people like, why are they concerned about those petunias like that? Why are they concerned about those tulips? Why are they concerned about their roses? But then what's going on? That is a way for them now to escape that stress. It's for them to be relieved, to get rid of. So when you were saying that, I'm listening like, yep, that's the same exact thing. And that I told them about gardening, and I know how some of them, they're not thinking about planting with regard to agriculture for us for food, but again, for enjoyment, for pleasure, which is all good. But that is something that we need to find those outlets, and that this is an outlet that I dare say that is absolutely beneficial. And I'll throw it out there and say that Sister Dr. Tanya Hall, when they talked about her grandmother lived to be 99, her grandmother was an agriculturalist. She's out there. She's in that dirt. And Brother Ant maybe talked about self-care. That's right. All this is about self-care. And that's why I think it's so powerful with you being right here and sharing it and giving the insight, because you understand how it affects the body, what works in the body, with the mind and the soul, and that's why those experiences. And that's why now the question to you is, what are the insights of life that you have gained from farming? What are the life insights?
Well, one big life insight is, and when we think about gardening, it's not all about watering. A lot of people, when they say, I can't handle all the watering. I got to go out and water plants. I say it's not all about watering, because plants don't need all water. Sometimes it's the water you have may be enough, but protecting or preventing the water from evaporating. So, life insight. Things sap your body of energy. You have energy. You have your energy, and it might be all energy you could have, and you can't acquire any more energy, but you can stop you from sapping the energy you have, so you could take care of what you need to do. So that's one insight right there. Now, weeding. People all say, "Oh, I can't handle weeding. I don't want to go." Well, if you block the soil, I have a certain amount of blockage, and people say mulch. If you have mulch, a certain amount of mulch, I do wood chips on top of your garden, then the weed doesn't have a chance to penetrate up because it's smothered. Also, the weed seed that flies around don't have a chance to gain ground to the earth because it can't get through that your mulch. And if it does try to go through, all you do is take it and lift it out easy. So life lesson on that is, if you create and develop yourself in such a way, things are gonna come, but they're not gonna penetrate. They won't penetrate your mind. Like the psyche, you had Brother Johannes on a couple of weeks ago, and the psyche of it, and what people, they get this, they penetrate your mind. They put in front of you images over and over and over again of you in a negative way. If they're talking about you, they're talking about you, and they want to convince people that you're a bad person, during the entire story of a bad thing, they keep your face up. Now, if they want me to look good, even though I did the same exact thing you do, they'll tell the story, then they'll splash my face and remove my face. Your face gets fixated in their memory because now their mind is convinced that you're the bad guy and I'm the good one. So it tells you, life lesson for me, it tells me, hey, look, insight, you have to develop yourself in such a way that weed, when it comes by, don't take hold. That negative image you're trying to put on me, I'm going to get it off of me, get it away from me. I'm going to develop myself in a way that I could smother things that are coming up to entrap me and to rob me of my nutrition, to rob my neighborhood of the vital things we have. You come into my neighborhood and you're taking out the best student out of my neighborhood to put in your school, to make your school say that we have this academic gifted kid, and then all other kids who you didn't kind of give a chance to, unless they athletic, and then all of a sudden, you know what I mean, you're taking everything out of them, you're sapping them out, and if, God forbid, they blow their knee or something like that. So it tells me I need to continually invest and understand how am I to grow, what makes me beneficial to my community long term. Not short term, long term. And so in planting, that's what tells you when you plant a tree in my garden versus a plant. There's difference. There's different when you have a blackberry, because a blackberry is going to come up over and over and over again. You trim it back, it pushes up over and over again. You don't have to keep planting more blackberries. Right. It's going to keep coming up. You plant one blackberry, and next year you're going to have 10. The following year you're going to have more and more and more, because they're going to keep doing their thing, because they're going to keep getting a chance to push up. It's different with certain other things that are plants. Plants you got to come over and over again to plant. So you got to capture seeds off of those so you could plant. So knowing there's some things that are fixed in your life, people who are going to help you. And so you got to decide, you know, what it is, and allow those things to grow and continue to nourish and stay strong, and realize what things you have to gather seeds from so you can replenish every year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. With regards to the negativity, that I tell folks, you know, negativity are like weeds. I say they're like weeds that we can't allow to foster, can't allow to be there. These are weeds. And that what we attempt to do, we try to plant seeds. We plant seeds so that way they'll get the light, they'll get the water, they get the nurturing, and so they will then sprout up. And then it becomes a vibrant entity. It becomes a vibrant living entity. That is, it becomes a tree, it becomes a plant, it becomes this thing that we can feast upon. But then also it has seeds in it that then also will germinate too, that now when they are released, and so then we continue to have, as I say, this goodness that will come about. So again, we try to plant the seeds of goodness, and so we try to get rid of the weeds so we don't get caught into the weeds. We look at the seeds and we go forward with regard to that. So now, you know, because time is coming up, you know, like I don't want to deal with Randall or anybody else. I got asked the question. So when will the harvest be? When will the harvest occur? When, with regard to, you said some of the bok choy. So I might want to know when the harvest is going to occur. And I'm sure some of the listeners, and we're telling y'all to share this segment right here with Dr. Ife Khan, share all our segments to tell that. But when will the harvest occur? Because I know some people might want to be interested in some of the harvest too. I know I'm definitely listening to the harvest. So that's why I might even try to get some beets. You know, and that's why I was saying to myself, I got to think about what to do with some beets for me to enjoy beets. I got to do something.
Yeah. Well, Ron, tell this. The harvest is continual.
Woo! Woo! Okay.
Tell that. So here's this. You can never, and I think I said this last time, you can never step foot in my place and leave empty-handed.
Yes, sir.
Because a lady came here after we did, I think, yeah, between now and the show, I already went to somebody's house and put up a box garden for them already. And another lady brought her daughter over. She's, I think she's 10-year-old, brought over, and we showed her how to start seeds using egg crates. So that itself is a harvest. And then she left with a dozen eggs. So sometimes we don't have the thing, but we'll put 12 eggs in somebody's hand so they could go and eat some eggs. So right now, if somebody was to show up, you know, we now have herbs. So right now, the harvest of herbs in July, the entire month of July is tomatoes, it's okras. Okay, the entire month of July. In May, it's gonna be strawberries and blackberries. May to June. In September, bok choy gonna be October. You know, when I bring your load, when I bring yours.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yes,
Homecoming is a bok choy for you, man, and some eggs, and the peppers and stuff is July, August. Most of the harvest is July, August. So for people thinking about harvest per se, July, August, we're talking about most times 70 to 90 days after seed planting. Most harvests tend to occur. Some a little faster, but that's basically it. So that's why July, August is the big time for harvesting.
Okay. Yes. Because my mind goes to, so when you're saying tomatoes, I like tomatoes. That's what I'm like saying. Hey, and you said something, and you said that you were helping someone do a box garden. Now, what will it entail if someone here? Oh, I slipped up for a second. I need to go back because you said something, and again, and that's why I specifically showed folks when we did the posting for this segment, those brown eggs that you have.
Yes, now, you did.
Yeah, I did that intentionally, and those look like some vibrant brown eggs. I was like, yes, this is what we're talking about. So you see a well-rounded farming experience that's happening. That's one just commend you with regard to them brown eggs were looking good. And I was like, yeah. I said, that's it. And what's so funny that there's someone else that I just found out last week that at his business here, he is selling eggs and that people actually go by his business. And what is so crazy about this, not crazy, what is so insane, what is so insane is that you and him both are graduates of Savannah State. Different generations. Richard Shinholster, who owns Diaspora Marketplace. So he's an African art dealer, African art gallery. He's selling eggs. So I say, look, Ifikon, African Senate, African perspective from the BI. He is raising eggs. He's raising chicken and producing eggs. Yeah. And I was like, check this out. That's some insight. Richard Shinholster graduated from Savannah State in the 1960s, Ifikon, late 80s. I'm like, yo, all of us out here right now need to be understanding it is important for us. And that's why my next question to you, brother, is that is it urgent for us to be involved in the art of agriculture? Is it urgent for us to be involved in the art of agriculture? That's your opinion on that.
Well, yes, it's definitely urgent because all it takes is one or two countries decide not to ship certain things to America, and then you don't have those things. All it takes is a major fire in California, and you're out of a lot of fruits and nuts. So the South is able to grow a lot based on the temperature, the temperate zone to grow. It was involved in a lot of farming for many years. America depended on the South for agriculture.
Yes.
And so at this point, we have a lot of land sitting, and we're not making the most of it in terms of growing stuff. And it don't need to be on large scales where you're clearing out all the trees and you're disrupting the environment. But you could basically grow along streams, certain things. You could basically be growing berries in every yard in the South, and the kids go by after school and they pick up their little snack on the way home, just picking out the berries out of the tree, going home and having snacks. I mean, this was a thing we did in the islands. We on the way home from school, you were picking mangoes or you were picking sugar apples, sour sop, and you were eating those things on the way home. And so it's a healthy thing for you to do. But agriculture is important because I'm not sure if you're familiar with the revolution in China, but Mao, that's one of the things he focused on. He controlled agriculture. When he controlled agriculture, he was able to take over China and become the communist ruler there.
Yes.
If a man takes over your agriculture, he takes you over. And so I was just appreciating agriculture is so important. And yeah, I think you can't lose by participating to some degree. And it's not all about eating meat. You can live off of vegetables. So, take that for what it's worth and run tell it.
Run tell that. And then so we got somebody, Dr. Tanya Howard Hall.
Yes.
She wants to emphasize the fact that she's from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical School, a university, excuse me, known as FAMU. So she's trying to throw a little shout out that they understand that. And what's so fitting about this, that I say, what is so crazy, what is so insane about this, that I was just going to pose to you because Dr. Tanya Hall is our school board representative.
Okay.
And this is just a perspective. What's your thoughts with regards to schools being places where we can engage in some farming? That again, because we know that schools have land, they have, again, like you said, it doesn't have to be a lot of space. So is that something that we should be focusing on and pushing with regards to our boards of education or our private schools, councils with regards to that?
Yes. And the private schools actually do better than public schools for one simple reason. The public schools tell the kids in the public school, if you grow some vegetables, you can't eat it yourself. It's amazing. I'm here in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and we started a garden over at elementary school.
Okay.
We had the boys, and we mentored the boys, and we had them start a garden in a little courtyard area. And we grew, you name it, we grew it. We would pick it and we say, listen, why not have it in the cafeteria, have the kids take it. They tell us, oh, this and this, and they made so many rules. I went to a little school that was a private school, and I started a box garden at a private school. Okay. And the kids were able to take the food out of there and eat it. They had no problem. Take it home and eat it. But at the public school, they didn't, because they were telling me that something about sanitation and all that. I was like, please. So yes, all schools, every single one of them should have a garden. All of them. And all of them can have a garden. They have the ability. We are throwing away so much vegetables, lettuce, tomato in the cafeteria. We even throwing away so much food that the chickens could be eating some of the food they're throwing away.
Yes.
And so one of the things I say is, if you go around to all these restaurants in town, and I know one of the things that we were talking about before is cooperation. If you're able to co-op, a school co-op with something else, you could create gardens. I would dedicate my time to go anywhere. I mean, they pay for me to come. I ain't gotta. They gotta pay for me. They gotta pay for me to arrange my coming. Right. I'll tell them what to get, and I will physically be there to set up for them a garden and show these kids about growth and mentor these kids. A lot of these kids will realize, look, it is the STEM. You talking about STEM?
That's right.
Science. You talking about recycling? You talking about technology? I could show them how to measure. I could show them how to create a square garden. I could talk about the rotation of the sun and how to measure where the shade will be based on the height of the tree, and we could do it all with math. And we could engineer certain things to create watering in the garden. All that it is. So it's, oh man. And then we could teach them about writing. We could write articles about it.
Yes.
And so yes, it's so much involved. So the education in a garden is an entire classroom. And you could even draw, teach them to paint and whatever, make coloring and dyes out of it. So there's so much to learn from it without the books. And it's probably, you learn more engineering from building your own house or building your own dormitory. If you take all the kids and build their own dormitory, and they'll learn how to appreciate the living in their dorm more so than anything else. But yeah, it's amazing. I mean, what we could do, tell her or whomever, tell any school board and district, they can revolutionize education with gardening.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And she's indicating that Brock Elementary has a garden in their area, so small garden. But then again, we need to have more, so that becomes important for us because we gotta have this. This is about our survival right now because again, we grew up about talking about food deserts, and just like you talk about Mao, what Chairman Mao does again, he understands using food as a weapon, and that's what people. I'm just sharing it with you. Food has been weaponized in many communities, in lower income communities. Food has been weaponized that you don't get nutritious food with regards to these lower income nations around the entire country. So they weaponize food, and let me clarify and say around the entire world, but we focus on the US right now, but they weaponize food and water. Flint, Michigan is an example of when you see the weaponry of water, that now water is now polluted, so it impacts us. We go to Brunswick, Georgia, we see waterways polluted. That affects us with regards to chemicals. We know the Savannah River has experienced that with regards to that's what plays a role with regards to polluting what we know the areas of defusking and all of that, that we looking at chemicals coming from corporations, from factories. And of course, I know people working there, but food and water has been weaponized, and that has been weaponized against poor people, lower income people. And we think nothing of it. And so that's why I want to throw that question out there, that us being, is it urgent? Should we be involved in this art form called agriculture? Because agriculture is an art form. Listening to you, you convey that very essence of the art form known as agriculture. And so my next question to you, again, to those listening, I think you all need to make sure, please share what's going on, because we want people to understand, because again, in our communities, we have food deserts, and some are going to say food swamps also. We have food swamps where nothing but fast food is in these communities. And that, again, not nutritious. So how can you expect the children to learn? But now I'll deal with this question, Brother Ife Khan. And the question is, if people talk about this, what is your concept of when you hear eat to live? We must eat to live. What do you think about when you hear that? We must eat to live.
Yeah, well, your body needs fuel, and the only thing your body gets fuel from is food. So you have to eat. The quality to which you eat is a whole different ballgame. So if you eat, I tell people this: if you eat, you can eat 3 eggs that's devoid of nutrition, and you can eat 1 egg that's full of nutrition. So I can eat 1 of my eggs, and it's 3, 4 yours. So your production of 4 eggs costs so much, and the transport of those 4 eggs costs so much, and I'm eating 1. And I'm still healthier. I'm going to still be healthier than the other person who's eating it. Our vegetables been forced into growing, and the soil is robbed of the nutrition. So the nutrition in the soil is poor. It's the plant in that takes out poor from the soil. The plant is poor. So you eat it, you're not filled, nor have you gained any beneficial things from it. So you force yourself to try to take some kind of vitamins or something like that. So it's important to eat to live if what you're eating is worth it. Whether it has the right amount of magnesium, zinc, the phytochemicals that we know restore and repair cellular damage to prevent oxidation. So if you're eating like that, then that's the difference. But if you're eating something that your body full of radicals, free radicals that your body have to fight against constantly, then it don't make any sense to eat it. It's better not to eat it at all. If your food has certain things that damage your hemoglobin, like iron, like lead, damage your hemoglobin, then you don't have proper iron stores when you're a young child to develop your brain. Your brain not developed, then you're hard to learn in school. If you're full of saturated fats and you move around sluggish because all your food is full of sugar, then your brain can't think clearly and you can't move clearly. You move around sluggish, you don't learn. So your capacity to grow beyond what you are is limited. And your heart has to work harder against the blood vessels that are hardening constantly. And your GI system, which controls about 85% of your immune system, is destroyed. So the moment that illness comes around, you fall prey to it. And it's hard for you to recover. So hence, when they talk about a disproportionate and health disparities, it's clear why you have health disparities. You have health disparities because you have nutrition disparities.
Okay.
And you have nutrition disparities because if I feed you something that's nonsense, then you only could live off of nonsense. If I feed you something that's not good for you, it's just the way it is.
Yes, sir.
So if the only book you're reading out of is the same old book that you've been reading out of for the past 100 years, then you would gain no new knowledge from anything. So hence I keep you in the dark and I feed you whatever. So you end up like mushrooms. Big head and no body.
Okay.
I don't want to get too revolutionary with it, you know.
Ain't no problem. You know that's what this show is about. You know, it's about revolutionary ideas.
Yeah, but people, the people who have lived in darkness must see the great light.
Yes, sir.
And that great light is there. And when you go out to the God, when you wake up in the morning, you go out to God, you realize one thing. The sun is there to shine upon you and open your eyes. And when you go out and the sun shines, when you open your eyes, you can never go back. You refuse thereafter. The day moves on. The day moves on. You can't go back. You can't go back one single step.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And one of your alums from Savannah State, Sister Hall Houston, she is saying Savannah can play a tremendous role with regards to agricultural education. In particular, you know, we said the South, but in this entire country, because we have. And the thing that when you were sharing something, and just throw it out there in the audience, that when you talk about the harvest, as always, when you were saying that, I would think about how in the Caribbean and in Central America, right there along the equator, it rotates. The weather is pretty much the same. So that's why the stuff is growing all the time, the time. So that way you can plant and it's going to generate. You can got the nutrients right there in the soil. So it's all the time. So the harvest is continual. That's why you're able to take care of oneself. And that's why, and when you were talking about how you all did as kids, some people here remember that there are people who had pear trees. When they're walking along in their backyards, in their front yard, their side yard, they got pear trees, they got peach trees, they got plums, Japanese plums, they got other plums, they got apples. You know, a few even had oranges. That again, you walking along in communities, in neighborhoods, and I'm saying right now, right here, people remember talk about this when they grow up. That bam. So guess what? Even if you might not have it in your house, guess what? It's growing right there in the neighborhood, in the communities.
Yes, sir.
So it's not even foreign for us to be able not to have this around us. But today it becomes almost foreign for us to even think about and conceptualize that. And that's why I said we got to rectify that. And that so what comes into play, we got to have, I say, groups of people who are addressing this right now, who want to go forward. Because I was going to talk about the impact of low nutrition on the body, and you basically threw it right out there. You put it out there how it affects our body with regards to how we function, then with regards to how we think it. That again, so it's stymieing our growth. But I want to say that how easy is it to produce food? How easy is it to produce food?
Well, it's easy because if you think about, I'm gonna go to a housing project. If you think about a housing, well, when I say housing project,
Yes,
meaning
sir.
subsidized housing
Yes,
where
sir.
people of
Yes,
low income are put together to live in close proximity.
sir.
Now, most of them are given a little piece of backyard. Well, if you decide, with you and your neighbor decide y'all plant something in there, it's good and it's going to grow, and then at least you could reach outside and pick something and eat. Most of these neighborhoods would have like a park, a little open area. Yeah, they put a basketball court in for you or a little whatever, but most of them have like an open area that somebody in that community could create a garden.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to, I know here in Spartanburg, I just spoke to a young man, and they are creating a garden in one of the housing areas that is known to be a bad neighborhood.
Yes.
But as they clean it up, they put in this garden in there, and people are coming in, participating, and people who say have to do community service because they did some kind of crime, they can come in, work in that garden as a service project to help, clean up their record a bit. So that's one way. Now, what's interesting is when I was growing up, there was a gentleman who he was known to be a tough guy in the neighborhood.
Yes.
People respect him. He's a tough guy. I mean, you don't mess with him. You don't mess with his family. But he had a garden, and he let you come in and eat. He let you come in and hang out, and nobody ever touched the garden. Nobody didn't go and try to destroy anything in the garden because they knew you destroyed the garden, you had to deal with him. So the garden stood. Any one of these neighborhoods could open up a garden, and we could put things in it. We could start to grow. We could start to share with each other. We could start a commune around the garden. There's no church property that shouldn't have a garden. There's no school property that shouldn't have a garden. There's no college institution that should not have a garden. Now, I saw somebody showed me a picture. There's a little garden of Savannah State. Great, beautiful. Keep it going. Keep it going. I was up at another college in North Carolina A&T. They have a little garden up there. Keep it going. Keep it going. These property, I think Savannah State is 200 acres. I'm not sure the acreage on Savannah State campus, but we need to have gardens. So yes, every place there is that we exist, we should have some type of garden. And I'm talking about growing simple things. I'm not talking about growing something that's going to take a lot of work.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okra can grow in the South in abundance. So if you like okra, we should be growing okra. Every corner should have okras, every single one, because we're going to eat it. Okay, we're going to eat okras. And again, okra has a big nutritional value. Mm-hmm. So get your okras in. A lot of times, a lot of greens we love, we can grow a lot of greens throughout the South almost all year long. So it's easy to grow. So yes, it's easy. You scatter those seeds, scatter the seed right before rain, and walk away. You will see them coming up like crazy. The turnip, the mustards, they come up like crazy, man. So yeah, no problem. It's easy to grow. The essential ones are very easy to grow, and that's why God made them easy. He didn't want to make it hard for you.
Right. That which is essential is easy for you to achieve and to get it.
That's right.
So, and I know that you've done work with people in South Carolina and also in North Carolina. And so I want to get your perspective is, what are your thoughts about these cooperative farming efforts that go on? And you kind of alluded to some of it, though, if these small farming efforts that are done collectively or co-ops with regards to that. What's your thoughts on those?
Well, I think they're great. They're great. I mean, if I would like to see the committed effort. So those who have them, they usually create like a nonprofit organization. They have the donations and they try to show appreciation for the people who donate. So those are great. I know up in Charlotte, they have the Mail's Place, and they have a great garden, and their garden is in a housing project. And they have a beautiful design. The young men raise the plants, they sell them, and they make annual trips to certain places. They've been to Ghana, they've been to Cuba, and they've done some other things around the community to help. I know of some schools have it in areas where they have their little boxes and things of that nature to try to teach kids about garden growth. So any kind of co-op that you can reach out to. I like to call out some co-ops. I mean, I like to call out some institutions so that we could force co-ops. All the people, everyone who have a coffee place, every single one should be collecting coffee grounds and reaching out to somebody who's doing farming and say, look, do you want some coffee grounds?
Yes.
And deliver them. Anyone who does a tree service, anyone who cut trees, chip up trees, should be reaching out to say, hey, do you want some of our wood chips? Make it available to people. So any store, they're big name stores and they're small stores, go out and allow for a gardener to come by and get those coffee grounds from you because they could put to use. I have my own worms. I actually grow earthworms. That's another thing I don't show you on that picture, but I actually have earthworms. And so I have little stacks. And in them, I put coffee grounds, potato peels. So all these people who cook in potato, all the French fry places that make your own potato, cut your potato peels up and store it and give it to the gardener because they could put it in there. The worms are in there. They're breaking it down and they're making a very rich soil with the nutrients in it for the plants. And so that's another reason why, the garden grows well, because you have these worms in there. So yes, these co-ops are great to have. Come on, all the people who got wood chips, the tree services, all the people who got coffee grounds, y'all get together, y'all reach out and load us up.
Yes, sir.
So, if I'm gonna come to a garden there in Savannah, that's what I would expect. I would expect you have like a truck full of wood chips and a whole bunch of coffee grounds ready.
Now, this is where this is the question, and this is going to probably be winding us up. But this was the question I was about to throw out there. That's why I said this is insane. And when I say insane, it's the insane with regard to the connection and junction that we have, the relationship that we have, and that how life experiences. That I say from Shinhos to having eggs selling at the Ashford Marketplace on MLK Junior Boulevard. That's your eggs with regards to your chicken. Again, those vibrant eggs that I saw. That again with regards to that, and then also. Now, what you're saying right now, that I was going to say. So people have been listening. People are interested. So if folks in Savannah say, Dr. Ifikhan Shango Simon, can you come down here and help us start a box garden? Can you? What will that entail for us? What do we need to do? Because I know some folks are definitely interested and want to do that. So I'm just throwing it out there, my brother, that is something to say. And would you consider doing that? Coming here and helping people now go forward with regard to creating these gardens, these small garden plots.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So the big thing, and I try to show some pictures, and I'll send you some pictures. So I show some pictures where either one, you could do it with box, or you could just do a raised bed off the ground. So the first thing we start off with is we get the ground cleared. So ground clear could be done a couple ways. So one of the ways we do ground clear is that we could either take some grass kill and kill the grass or whatever weed is in the area, or we could just cover it up. We could cover it with some with boxes, and the grass only will die. And you just put wood chips on top, and the wood chips, the pressure of the wood chips with a cardboard box or the newspaper. Newspaper is even better if you have newspaper, but the material would smother everything on the ground. Then you simply clear a trench that you want to go into. You could cut into the cardboard box and till just directly on it, because whatever grass or weed was growing up will be smothered. You just till that row up and put your plants into that section, or your seed into that section, and move along. So the whole idea is just send it like that, but the resources will be there. So one, you get your wood chips. So now if they're trying to do it on the ground, that's one way. Now try to do it in a box. I would say most boxes should be about 12 inches high. And so if you don't want something leaching into your plants, your soil, so we don't try to use that treated wood. We try to basically use cedar. So just getting your cedar together and saying, and then I'll use the example of a church or a school. A lot of times you could go to one of these big box stores and say, look, we want to buy cedar for a school, and they'll sell it to you at a reduced price. So you get all your cedar laid out. Okay. Once you get cedar together, it's basic tools, just some drill, cedar on the side to build your square. And you just run it And so it's easy. It's a one-day project. So because the template is there. The template is there and how you want it done. The key is pick your spot, get essential, the wood chips, the soil. Most people may need some soil, and you could approach a lot of, like, say, big box stores, especially if you're a nonprofit. I think I talked to, I'm not sure if I call his name out, but I talked to a particular representative from Savannah area who represents in the State House.
You can call him out. You know, it's all good.
Carl Gilliard. Carl Gilliard. And he told me, he said, "Hey, Simon, we want to do one of these." I said, "Let's go." You know, but I guess the COVID came, and but let's go. Let's do it. You know, it don't take much to bring me.
Okay.
You know, it don't take much to bring me to Savannah.
Right. And that's why I want the listening audience, those who are looking, I wanted them to see and for them to hear. You just put it out there, and that he has always had an open invitation for us to invite him here and just make the arrangements. And he's willing to do this. He's willing to do this. So again, that's why we talk about the urgency of us now producing our own food and finding various means to do it, from, as you threw out, churches, schools, that again, these cooperatives, small groups of us, and first time you talk about neighbors doing it. So it's something that can happen, that should happen. Because again, you can't have a revolution if you can't feed yourself, as you said.
Not at all. Not at all.
You
got to be to feed yourself.
And so, my brother, we're gonna let you close us out. You know, with whatever other insights you have. And so again, to those who are listening, and to run tell that, share this, so that now others can get this information, get this insight. Because my cousin Vanessa saying you get confirmation, because she's been saving her coffee grinds. And so that's why now she was like saying, yes, this is confirmation for her. So provide us with some last parting words.
So the big thing with me is, like, here in Spartanburg, I tell people, you don't have the space, you don't have the time, but you have things I can use. So find somebody who may be able to put it together and supply the person with the supplies, whether it be coffee ground, whether it be wood chips, whether it be your leftover broccoli, your spoiled broccoli you have in your fridge because you thought you were going on a salad diet and you're not going to do it. Okay, so bring your cabbages, your lettuce, your spoiled vegetables that you have in your fridge. Bring them over. When you crack those eggshells that you've been took from the other place, your eggshells are useful too because they add calcium to the ground. Okay, so you do your part, so that way when the garden is produced and it's time for the harvest, that when you come to the harvest, you're not coming with your hand out because it's owed to you. When something is owed to you, you don't have to beg for it.
That's right.
We don't have to beg for it when we could grow it, when who we know are growing and we have contributed. So let's no longer be with our hands out. Let's not be parasites. Let's add to the situation. Let's help the situation grow. And you know me, Jamal, I talk, but after I leave here, the sun is still shining. Where am I going? Out to my garden. So that's what it's about, people. It's about action. If I need to come to Savannah and put it together, I come to Savannah and put it together. You just got to take care of my essentials.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And my brother, glad to have you again. And this is what we needed. And so I think some people here are going to be, the seeds are not germinated in their minds, not weeds, but seeds are not germinated in their minds. They're going to look at trying to have you here. So
step up. That's all I got to do, step up. Step up.
Dr. Tanya Hall, you know, she had to deal with the worms, but we get other stuff for her to do, because we get Judy's Hall to handle the worm. But my brother, want to say thank you. And to those in the Run Tell That family, thank you. Spread the word, share. One love, one aim, one destiny for all of us. My brother, Dr. Ifikon Simon. Peace and blessings.
All right, peace and blessings.
Charlotte O'Malley.
Yes, that's right. Jah Rastafari. Ever loving, ever living. All right, one love, man.
Right. Just peace and blessings. Peace and blessings to Run Tell That family.
Run Tell That.